President's office, you have $1 billion. Minister of Foreign Affairs, about 1.9 billion, about 2 billion in fact. Finance, 2 billion. The centralized services, 1.6 billion. And centralized services are really supposed to take care of expenditures for lubricants, petrol, fuel, and so forth, as well as purchase of vehicles. But instead of this being part of these centralized services, you have 300 million, approximately 300 million allocated for fuel and lubricants, 800 million allocated for purchase of vehicles. And these are not the productive sectors of the country. Now you take agriculture, 95 million. Fisheries, 56 million. You take the allocation in agriculture, fisheries, youth and sport, and tourism, they are less than the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. And these are the productive sectors of the country. The total allocation to these four important sectors is about 1.1 billion, whereas for Ministry of Foreign Affairs, for 1.9, for finance 2.2, about $2 billion. And indeed, any country that really wants its economy to grow, you invest in the productive sector of the country. And for us, tourism is certainly one of the key agents for growing the economy of this country. Agriculture is the principal agent for growing agriculture, for growing the economy in this country. Fisheries also is a sector that can energize and promote and increase the economy of this country. But because this government has really lost its priorities, instead we assign allocations to areas that are non-productive. Apart from the prioritization of the resources of this country, I would say resources, I mean the finances of this country, is the very deep-seated corruption in this country. We've seen that government is engaged in a lot of road constructions. And these are the areas where corruption is really embedded. Because the prices, the contract prices are inflated, and they are not only inflated, but sometimes also you do have substandard work. If not substandard work, delayed work. Now, when the president visited the Faraba campus, he found that the work was far below the period was not, the work was certainly not being done in accordance with the schedule. And he expressed his disappointment. But that is all we have. I am sure that contract must have a clause when there is delay, what happens on the part of the person who caused the delay. Why is that not improved? Should the president just say that, okay, we will schedule it, and then within that scheduled period, we see it completed, so that the now scheduled period time will be December this year. But I am surmising that then the president didn't take the drastic action that is needed because things must have happened in the past. Compromised. When any leader is compromised, or when the government is compromised in any way, these are the type of failures, these are the type of reaction that you have. I think any serious government would definitely have summoned immediately the contractors to State House, and President should not just stop at expressing disappointment, but should also tell the government people what directives he has given for this contract to be completed, not by December, but within a period of 12 months. Because so disappointment was expressed because the installmental payments that probably due to the contractors must have all been fully met. If they were not met, there would have been no ways by the government for delays. But these are the type of things that happen. These are the results of compromised governments. Or these are the results on things on the part of a compromised government. The we learned last week, we learned recently that the Minister of Finance signed a loan of $2 billion in December. Now, we are complaining, we are crying that there's already $118 billion loan that the government has to pay. And to pay that, we are using $11 billion for the debt services. And I'm sure you all agree with me that $11 billion injected in agriculture will really do well for this country, will do well for our economy, and do well for our food security. Now, my calculation would be 1.8 billion, when 180 billion plus the tax is 20 billion. I have absolutely no doubt that if there is proper auditing of the activities and transactions carried by this government, you will find that there are several hidden loans that have not been disclosed to the people of this country. They are sitting on them because they do not want to expose how much damage they have done to this country. But we've seen across the border what has happened. Since the change of government, some areas of government activities are audited, and we got discovered that several billion francs, CFR francs, or euros, were hidden. Yes, they were never disclosed by the government. And the same thing, I can tell you, is probably happening in this country. Now, and I wonder why the Minister of Finance has not really disclosed this loan. For all I know, it was not indicated in the budget speech. I don't think you are following. It was not mentioned in the budget speech, and I believe the budget speech really carries everything, or should carry everything that affects the economy of our country, and certainly these $2 billion would drastically affect the economy of this country, because it's going to add up to our national debt, and it's also going to increase our debt service portfolio. So this should be made not government. All these allocations on the development projects that have been initiated, and the projections are based on what? As I said, we are not a country endowed with resources. We have our agriculture, we have our fisheries, and we have our tourism. We are not as endowed as Nigeria or even Senegal, because now that Senegal has gas and oil, they have been endowed with resources, and even other countries that are grappling with their uh, with some sort of crisis uh, are not. And that's really uh, can boast of the fact that all their activities are being financed from their resources. Now, these projections are based on what? Our growth is based on what? On loans. And we are not even sure whether the loans that you anticipate that you will get, you may not get. Maybe you anticipate getting $5 billion in loans, and it ends up being 3 billion or 2 billion. Grants may also not, may not also all be realized. And of course, taxes also. And the taxes are also based on projections that so much will be collected in taxes, and all these added up together is what is taken to as an assumption to project our economic growth. And these assumptions, which really do not rhyme in with reality. The corruption that we've been talking about, we find it in appointments, we find it in promotions, we find it manifesting itself in other ways. Now, what we are being faced with is our national assets are being gradually sold. And when I say sold, I say so uh, with great caution. An asset that is given away for 30 years, and what you benefit from it is just 20%, and the rest 80% goes to whom you call your partner. That is as good as selling, because for 30 years, when you don't have any control over assets, that is as good as selling. The bridge, which is also mortgage already as recycled, is also virtually giving away $100 million for a period of 15 years. You are giving it away. It does not enough to the benefit of the country. And you know what? We are having promises of having new roads. And what is happening is Afrimex Bank is providing the loan, is providing the money. No GRA is not the government. So GRA itself cannot take a loan. So what they are doing is to pass this through the central bank. And then of course they issue bonds for this to be put in the market, in the financial market, in order to raise think it's about 75 million. I'm not too sure about I think about $75 million. So you can see how manipulative the government is. It's GRA that is the beneficiary. GRA cannot take a loan. GRA cannot take a loan. So you use government institution to take it, and then you have a bank here through which they liquid the exchange of the dollars, I mean the fixed rate for financial control. And all these are avenues through which palms will be anointed, palms will be oiled. So another avenue for corruption. Now, when I talk about giving your asset away for 30 years, I'm referring specifically to the Gambia Ports Authority. Most of us know that when the Gambia Ports Authority was established in the 1970s from being Marine Department to a fully fledged state corporation, it was doing very well. His first managing director, I believe, was Captain Salah. Captain Salah did a magnificent job as managing director of Gambia Ports Authority, and others came on. The Ali Woods, the Pachams, the Modi Gays, the Jaganas. They came in, even Jiba in Jammeh's time, and did wonderful work. In those days, goods destined for Guinea-Bissau were brought to the port of Banjul. Goods destined for Mali to the port of Banjul. And of course, the activity, the transit activities, was really serving our country in a lot of ways. Because it's just not port charges that we are there, but then vehicles hired from here and taking goods to Guinea-Bissau, to Mali. Now, if you have 10 bicycles you want to ship to Banjul, you have to take it to Dakar and have it landed in Dakar. What has happened? Is it that we have lost that quality of managers, the by chance? Have we lost those qualities, quality managers? To the extent that we cannot operate our port in a way that will be of benefit to this country, we will have to give it away for free. Because I say for free, because 30 years of a very strategic national asset given to a foreign-owned company really shows a lot or speaks a lot about the capability and capacity of the management. How many studies do we have on the expansion of the budget project? Is it not one of those studies that led to half-die being moved? Huge amounts of money paid as compensation to residents of Abda. I think the only structure that was saved in that area was the mosque, the Imam and Basma. That was only structure that was saved. Having spent all that money, and it was done on studies that were validated, why can't we implement that decision? Why do you give it away to a company elsewhere? I'm not against private company or foreign companies coming to the government. I want it. I want it to come in. But our strategic national asset, I think, should be in the control of the government. I think when government wants to have resources to develop the agriculture, to develop our people, I think they should have really organized a conference of government economists. And I believe they have sages, they have economic experts, have financial groups in this country who will come out with suggestions that will show that Gambians, if they do not have full control or majority shares in the Gambian Constitution, they will certainly have shares that separation. But to give everything away I'm not affording the Gambians the opportunity to really buy it, I think, or what to invest in it, I think that's really giving a great deal of service to our country and putting our national interests in the hands of foreigners. After we have seen how government was in development plan was government owned, then you have a lot of Gambians who have shares in trust fund. Government must have developed that end up being trust fund. Could such a scheme not have been worked out so that with the Gambian people participate, could ways and means of raising funds to really develop the public code to standards that meets every international standards. But again, this government certainly does not in a way that will help with the economy of this country in the hands of Gambians. And we, I think when we come in, we make sure that the economy of this country is put in the hands of the Gambians. We hear Damsel and Damtel also are likely to be sold. If you go across Nigeria, you'll find that the telecommunication industry is completely in the hands of Nigerians. Why can't we do the same? If you want to sell Damsel or Damtel, why don't we give it to Gambians? Why try to make arrangements with people from God knows where, and taking our this very important national assets. Now, sometimes this government is just one that gets involved in pretensions. As the Wallachs will say, allegisma. So that people say, oh yes, about a few days ago, we had the chairman of Social Security and Finance Corporation reveal what this government has done. The loans that were contracted to purchase those buses were not with the Gambia, with the GTSC. They were the Social Security loaned the government of the Gambia. And you can see that the government is trying to pass on those loans to the Gambia Transport Services. Yes, Gambia Transport Services is responsible for provision of public transportation in this country, but they do so within their limits. If they do not have the financial backing, financial backbone to do so, I don't think they will get involved in it, because the profits that they should realize would not be. They would not have they would certainly do not have the financial backbone. But government forced it, I tell you, and I tell you this with a high degree of certainty. Government forced our project because Carnifing Municipal Council was introducing the urban transport services. urban was next. So I say we preempt them, but their target was to do it September last year. That was the target of the Council Municipal Council. So I said, we'll just sweep the carpet under them. We'll get Social Security to give money to buy buses, and we say we did it. And now they are reneging on that agreement. But of course, it's the government that is like defeat. A government that really deceives people. This is how they do things. I think really most important thing would be for the Minister of Finance to find the ways and means of repaying this loan to Social Security. And mark you, these are the retirees, the pensioners' funds. These are funds that belong to the Gambian pensioners. Those funds should be invested in ventures that will benefit the pensioners. You cannot take pensioner funds, put it in this type of enterprise, and then you start arguing that you are responsible or that one is responsible. So there is a high risk of the Gambian pensioners losing a very significant part of their contribution to the funds that Social Security operates. But the government does sit at tires and then say, unemployed, 491 million of fleet. This is the type of decision they take. And not in the interest of the government people. Now, and I'm not sure really how much the president, most special president was this. I'm not sure how much thought he gave to the pensioners. And so, whose pensions, whose country pensions, I do not think have been increased for the past years. But so if they did, there would have been announcements of it. There might have been announcements, which I didn't, but I doubt if there was any. So the protection of the pensioners' fund should be very paramount with this government, because it was one of the issues that came out in the Gambia Commission that how Gambia, dipped into his hands into these institutions. So this should really have been very clear to them that he shouldn't really get involved in that. Now, there are a lot of acts of impurity that are taking place. Currently, we have the is it Babkabahu? Is it Babkabahu? We have the Babkabahu and Manjai. Saga. Very unfortunate. Very, very unfortunate. And this why at one time I gave an unsolicited advice to the Federal Police. He said that it should be very careful in decisions that it takes, especially decisions that appear to be of a political nature or affect politicians. All these are the issues leading that system have some political undertone. And I advised him, although he didn't solicit the advice, that he should be careful about that. Because he is the brother-in-law of the president. And any action taken by him that looks or gives the impression or being biased would just be attributed to the fact that he's doing so because he's the president's brother-in-law. And this might be one of those cases. I will not really buy what I see in social media that probably enforcement was involved. I will not buy that. So sometimes people just do things and you say, doing so, already please Mr. X or Mr. Y. What is it? What Mr. Babu did was outrageous, was unacceptable. You do not insult the whole community. And the Inspector General of Police said that he is satisfied with his apology. That is not what we should be the position of the Inspector General of Police. You know, Mr. Babu, the statements he made are seditious. They are seditious. And because any statement that tends to raise disaffection or discontent amongst the inhabitants of the Gambia is seditious. Inspector General of Police, I ask you to arrest Mr. Babu, subject him to proper interrogation, read the whole article, and see whether that statement is not likely to cause disaffection or discontent among the people of here. It is seditious. We cannot hide behind an apology when a person commits a crime. We cannot hide behind that. I urge you to do so, to show fair-handedness. And Manjai, as a Kianka, has the right to say, look, we do not condone this type of statement. Because it's a statement that can cause civil strife in that community. If some Kianka boys go out and physically attack Bahu, what would you say? Are you going to charge of assault? When he has already insulted my grandmother, my grandfather, my father, my uncle? Let us be even under in the discharge of our duties. I told you, I'm telling you, look at section 52 of the criminal code. Ask your legal advisors to advise you on section 52 of the criminal code whether this statement uttered, whether they were written by Dr. Bahu, whether they are not seditious. If they are not, then I think sedition would have another meaning that the law does not provide for. And I want all you to tell you that you have absolutely no right to accept this apology. Because he did not offend you. It is not you, it that this is and you. So you are not the one to accept the apology. If anything, it is the people of here that voted against Barrow's candidates because they were the ones that were addressed by that very seditious statement, thing that can erupt to violence. You are not the ones addressed. Those who voted against Barrow and gave that because as ungrateful, you cannot accept the apology. It is those who offended you that cannot accept the apology. Your duty now is to put in motion proper investigation. That is what we do, and certify to the Attorney General, and we will be watching. But that issue has not been now limited to Binda. She has been transferred. But the circumstances under which this lady has been transferred to this provincial station is meant to punish her for standing up with her community, for standing up with people who think rightly. And that is wrong. that is misuse of power. If you had done it under other circumstances, no. But under these circumstances, no. You really need to punish her. And she doesn't have to be punished. The person who should be punished is bound. And that is taking place. This transfer. Other people who have been identified to be in the same circle with Peter Jai are now being taken to provincial station, and some to police post and police station that are far below their ranks. Say yes, what do you say? I'll break the cap from here. And I tell you, gentlemen of the press, one of the people who has been threatened with transfer is my son-in-law, because they know that it's a double son-in-law. Very efficient officer, well educated. They have been involved in security work outside of this country. Very competent. But because he was a Senator's son-in-law, that these UDP guys must get rid of all of them. But this is not what we have bargained for. President Barrow, this is not what we have bargained for. In 2016, we took away Gambia and Central because we want a society, we want a country where people really get what it is, meritocracy. That is what we want in this country. Not people in services, promotion, transfer, appointment services, being based on one political collaboration. I want to all IG to really reconsider Ms. Jai's post, because you should not punish her for really saying that gentleman usually insult me, and I don't forgive. And insult her. Another happening in the government, which is a clear violation of our laws and the Constitution, is NPP's former, how do we call it, the weather director, and officer in charge of research, and so forth, Kemo country. I'm sure some of you know. You know Kemo, when he was in the executive of the NPP, he was appointed to the Public Service Commission, and I raised the issue that the law prohibits that, and he immediately resigned from his membership of the executive of the. But you know what happened? He was appointed as the chairman of GRPS, deputy chairman of GRPS. And the Constitution provides that you cannot be a member of the Public Service Commission and be a member of the governing body of a public enterprise. And GRPS is a public enterprise. But you know, these people, they just violate the law as they go along. They don't care. Because you want to satisfy, you want Mr. Conte to have additional earnings. You appoint him as deputy chair of GRPS, while he's also serving as a member of the Public Service Commission. And you know what? No one can be appointed to the governing body of any public enterprise. You cannot be appointed there by the president, except on the advice of the Public Service Commission. So he is a member of the Public Service Commission, now advising the president to appoint him to GRPS. What I don't know. So this government, his government is not misprioritizing things. So 2016, when they finally succeeded, and we see that royalty is again. Now, talking about Gambian people fighting for a cause, talking about that, we cannot live here without talking about the efforts of His Excellency the Chambers for a new constitution. I applaud him. I pay special tribute to this gentleman who has shown great interest in our country and the democratic governance. Even before this time, I knew he was involved with the Gambia. Now, his efforts, I think, have been frustrated by President Obama. What stops Barrow to adopt the people's draft, bring it to National Assembly? And if they have any grounds with any provision of the 2020 draft, then bring it to the floor of the National Assembly. That has always been our place, and that whatever changes you want to make to the 2020 draft, come with it to the National Assembly. And if we are able to convince the Assembly that changes should be done to any particular provision, let it be. But can't go out there, sit there, and believe that you can draft any document and push it down the throat of the Gambian people. Well, not the Democratic Party may agree, but not under my pressure. Because I want a constitution for the government, but not any constitution. And my but not only that, but also he can dismiss you because the Manjai on the Gambian constitution, as bad as it is, protects National Assembly members from being really thrown out of the assembly for no just cause. So because of the Manjai case, he says, look, I am going to put this provision in this constitution so that I nominate you and I tell you, go to the National Assembly and say A, B, C, D, because that is what I know. If you don't say, I revoke your appointment. Is that what they mean? Is that not the executive interfering in the legislature? Where is the separation of powers? Where is the separation of powers? You recall chapter 5 on leadership and integrity is taken out. But it doesn't surprise me. You know why? The Anti-Corruption Act that was assented to in January this year. I think it's 13 January this year. There's a section in that that says that allegations of corruption from 1917 from 2017 to the date that is signed, then the Corruption Act cannot be subject of investigation. Fighting corruption, and you put that in the law, the Corruption Act, and then put in the Constitution that when you leave office as president, or when your minister leaves office, he will not disclose, or he cannot formally disclose his assets. And it is between the period that you are a minister and your later that you exit that you have the chance to really engage in corrupt practices. That's the time that you make deals in the contracts, in procurement, and all those things. And then you say, no, it's not, it should not. And you want that constitution to present it to the National Assembly when they kill the 500 Gambians here? No, really. Really, it's taking Gambians for granted. It's really taking for Gambians for granted. And I just want to say sharply on that United Democratic Party, we want a constitution, but we do not want any constitution. The 2020 draft constitution is one that has been a subject of considerable discussion broadly in the Gambia and outside of the Gambia. All sectors of the society, the Gambia Press Union, the Bar Association, Teachers Union, women, political parties, all have been involved in really contributing their ideas to the 2020 draft. Whereas the 2024 draft was Jammeh and his cabinet, I'm sorry, Barrow and his cabinet. They are the only, it was only their thoughts that were put in that. When that draft was before it was gazetted, it was never presented to the Gambian people to discuss it and to say, well, this is what I feel about clause 1. This is what I feel about clause 13. They took us for granted and took it there. And they think that they can blackmail some Gambians. No. Our position is 2020 draft. And the argument that they make that, but a draft that has been rejected, how can you bring to the National Assembly? Who says you cannot bring it? I want them to show me anywhere in the standing orders of the Gambia or in the constitution of the Gambia that a measure that has been defeated by the National Assembly cannot be brought back to the Assembly. A measure that has been defeated cannot be brought in the same session in which it was defeated, but not another session. So this is our position on the draft constitution, and of course also there are a lot of I don't know whether I should say debate, but there are a lot of views, different views have been expressed about that term and so forth. The constitution, current constitution does not provide for that term, absolutely. But men are judged by their words. In 2017, before President Barrow went to Mali, when well-wishers were coming to meet him at Rufus High, he did make a statement that yes, Gambians must now realize that no president can really go back to his office if the Gambians reject him as elected. The Gambians' power is manifested, that they are the people who have the power to change the government, and this is manifested in the 2016 elections. Then there can be no doubt about that. And he also said, from now on, no Gambian will serve as president of this country for more than 2 terms. And I believe that no president includes. So, if there is no provision in the Constitution, your word at that time address your well wishes that no person will serve president of this country for more than 2 terms. I think, Mr. President, you should abide by that, and that should be, that should be a moral code that should really, guide you. But of course, he has a choice to really do what is expected of him as per his own declaration. But if he does not, I think the Gambian people will get together and vote against him so that the third term that he's talking about, he will not have a third term. And so, also, when he does not have a third term in office, then the party that he wants to save, will die in his infancy. So, gentlemen of the press, I want to thank you. I think I've been talking too long, so I just want to thank you for honoring our invitation, and hopefully we will meet soon. But now one last point. In my congratulatory letter to the president, I did say that in the next couple of days, we will call upon to appoint a new chairman of the Independent Electoral Commission. I believe the current chairman, who are going to ask for us in, will begin office in February. On Friday. There will be notice of the new ones. So, Mr. President, I just want to repeat my appeal. But then, with this land, the 2020 draft does provide for qualification of chairmen of independent institutions. I believe also your draft also has a similar provision. And that is to say that the chairman of independent institutions, like Human Rights Commission, Independent Electoral Commission, must be judge of the Supreme Court or a person or a retired judge or a person qualified to be a judge of the Supreme Court. Mr. President, if you believe in your 2021 draft, please look for a judge of the Supreme Court, a retired judge, or a person qualified to appoint a judge of the Supreme Court, appoint him as chairman. Don't appoint someone who does not have that qualifications. Because there is a given provision that the Independent Electoral Commission or the existing institution will continue to be the institution as if they were appointed under the Constitution that would not be expected of before. So you don't really have any given provision. So I ask you, Mr. President, that there are judges who are competent, who are honest, who are sincere, who are patriots, to show us that you really, if you want your own constitution, please act now and appoint a judge as chairman of the Independent Electoral Commission. I thank you all. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Party because of this, about the just a wide ranging rendition of the situation of the Gambia out of the way. The party leader has talked on corruption, talked on integrity, leadership, talked on a wide range of topics that are from paramount importance to the country and the way forward. We will now open the floor for questions from members of the press. Please remember that before you ask your question, you mention your name and the organization you represent, and make the question short and possible. Thank you. The first question, please. Yes.
Okay, good afternoon. Thank you very much for that deliberation. My name is Aurelio. I work for the party as well. I have two questions I'm going to answer you. The first question is, who has during the consultation recently, IDs, you had a close work with President Barrow. It is reported that you had a close work with President Barrow regarding difference of the draft constitution. I would like you to give more details about what you discussed pertaining to the draft constitution. My second question is, you talk on the government is investing in agriculture, health, energy, and also education. What will the UDP government do to ensure that they invest in these very important sectors without they really rely on donor funding? Thank you.
Without it?
They really rely on donor funding.
On donor funding. Thank you, Mr. Manjai. My meeting with President Barrow, my consultation with President Barrow was a closed door consultation. Our aides were not even available with us. So I think it will be indiscreet of me to really discuss to really discuss what took place at that consultation. If we wanted to, if that was happening, it will be closed. It will be opened. So I don't think I will act in good faith. This is of me to say, well, this is what he said, this is what I said, this is what I said. Before I went there, everybody knew that we are talking about the 2020 draft. Everybody knew. And also, everybody knows that we want the 2024 draft. So that is what the extent I can say. But I cannot say that we discussed this, we discussed that. Now, on the issue of how we are going to develop the country without how we going to develop agriculture without relying on donor funding. Well, donor funding certainly no government will reject donor funding because that's something that we have been giving. What we will be very mindful about is loans. That is what we will be very mindful about. But the donor funding, certainly, no government will definitely give its back to that. And therefore, we will look at how much or what should be the allocation of the President's office. Is it necessary to give the President's office $45 billion to go on the countrywide tour? Is it necessary? Can you really reduce that and put that into one of these areas? The President's travel abroad, 100 billion. Is it really necessary to have that? Especially in this age, where you can have business virtual. Do you have to go to every meeting? So we have to make content in those areas. Now, vehicles allocating 800,000 pesos to vehicles. Right? Why would you need so many vehicles? For instance, the OIC, the number of vehicles that were bought for OIC, you need them for just a 2-day event. But now what do we see? We see that yes, there are those luxury vehicles that the ministers and some other people in the government are using. All those in fact, lubricants. 300 million if you reduce the fleet of vehicles, that is the government service, you will reduce your expenditure on fuel. And all these are things that you can apply to other sectors, to these important sectors of the economy. See, 2017, when we were in cabinet, Honorable Manjai presented the budget. When that budget addressed some of these wasteful expenditures, and for that year alone, was going to make a saving of $300 million. Now, tourism, they have for how many? 54 million for tourism. Now, that 300 billion, if you are to take part of it and inject it in the tourism industry, the fisheries is about 56 million. If you take part of that 3 million and inject it in the fisheries sector, you really be doing something like that. So, wasteful expenditure we certainly have to meet. Even just recently, when the president went around visiting the industries, did you see the fleet of vehicles? I'm sorry, you were there. I'm sorry, you were there. Do you see the fleet of vehicles? And you know how much money is spent in fueling those vehicles and how much manpower is wasted. Because no one people that went. The manpower that's invested, that could have sat in their office, do the needful for the country, but then the country is being deprived of that. So all these are the things that we are going to look at to make sure that what we've been telling the people since 1996 is what we are doing. Yes?
Assuming that in the next 2026 presidential election is at the corner, assuming that Dabo is the next winner of this election, what will happen to these blocks in the neighborhoods which you believe not necessary for the government to do the country that is grappling with the examples?
Well, what we will do with it, we'll certainly put it as part of the conference center, and they'll be higher, even by government, so that you have a like the independent consultancy, the VIP that came here. If you have to listen to the government should pay for it, and we attach it to the OIC and try to create sovereign fund. Yeah, so that's what we do. At least I think that should be. But then, when it comes to that, I have my team of economists, and I'm sure this will be one of the things that we are addressing. And I can tell you that we will not leave it ministers to really be using them. Because every minister had a roadworthy vehicle by the time that OIC conference was taking place there. 2, one for the minister and one utility. Why do you have to change all those vehicles? And then, it's wasteful.
Yes, your name and
I am asking about online speaker. So you talk about the 2020 plan. It seems it is still alive. So what do you think will be done to bring this 2020 plan to the assembly? And the second question is, how do you compare the 1997 constitution to the 2024 plan?
So the
2024 plan. How would you compare it?
Okay. I think your first question is that the 2020 draft is alive.
Yes.
Yeah. What do you do to bring it to the national assembly?
Yes. Instead of the 2024.
Yeah. Well, I think that is where the will of the president and his government lies. The political will. Because at least the empathy with the government people. To say you have spent $116 million on this draft. I will not allow it to really die. I'm going to take it to national assembly. And I tell all the members of my party, the national assembly, that they must vote. And I'll make sure that the chief whip really gets all online. And then UDP should also, and likewise, the chief whip should make sure that all his members vote in support of the bill promulgating the 2020 draft. Well, it will then not be 2020 draft. It will be a draft with another year on it. It cannot be the 2020 draft. And when it passes, President Adam Barrow, myself, and all those who support the 2020 draft, we go to the government people and tell them, look, you spend your money on this. Vote for it. And you do that. So that the threshold will be met very easily. Yes. Now the Barrow draft and the 1997 Constitution. Let me just tell you one thing that is there. Yeah. One thing that is there that is very different. You see, when the police arrest you by the 1997 Constitution, yeah, you cannot be held. Or you can, well, yes, well, you can be held for 72 hours. Yes, you can be held for 72 hours. That the Barrow government wants that back. We are in 2024. The 2020 rally says that not more than 48 hours. So that is addressing and giving cognizance to the liberty and freedom of the individuals. Also, as I said, that the 2024 draft does not make it incumbent on the president or members of the minister to declare their assets on vacating the office. But look at the 1997 Constitution. Even though it is in directive principles, it says that I think every 2 years or so, public officers must declare their assets, and they must also declare their assets when they vacate office. So you don't have that you have it in the 2024 draft for judges and members of the National Assembly, but not for members of the Executive. At least that is the difference.
Yes, so now that the government has introduced another draft, that is the 2024 draft. So, the reality is that if this draft fails, we will have a new constitution.
You will have a new constitution if you, the Ghanaian people, vote in United Democratic Party at the next election. You will have a new constitution.
Next question, please.
Sorry, for the sound I'm thinking about. Natara mo women ke ga wale women foka iman lada anu ye opportunity sodo pour ka kuke ayab yabo pour ye kusodo modo imari long kang ni amanga tolna but 1996 first time yok makilin sa nana na ko kombe bolo ko mole ka to ba sila ta ko nimba ko na mota ka to dila wala ulmani la bodo malla kame ko malla illa ta ma ko la namo convince dam ko kame fani bolo ko to nya bolo banko la na tilim ka so ko de banko faram jana na ko de banko ma ba banko ni convince ta ka to fa di insano ta ko teni de be e pira ya ni barniko ye ka corruption le fight o da ka to fa la o da intel ko mo le ko no be la ni ba ko la nya so ni la to ba ko la ai ta ba ta me ko la bu nya no ko ka da ba ko ba ko e be ya pour bele na nya na be nya na be so ko mo la principles la conviction ni experience ya ken ya ba yobula to ko badu ngam deme to mobula dan ko do ngani so ko fon le kaaj na mol kanu bi ka bo bari ay ni ni ko afale na ba ko de adu be ala dan la benna kolon namanya ni nak for kan man be ala na kan ko kif ko ken fo ngam fo mo be tudla na bintanjay bintanjay la ko amanke kafko police also for the ba politician tiba ba de politician tiba o mata même matata te fe wolon ko ibe men kan ibe advantage le kan kan pe man sembo so men ya tanya sakela men ya ku ke be luatinya gamen sedition wolon ba e janta ba umar sar yakitin kan mu'min fo na gambe luwato as problem na dino kan ko mon miliano ka ko won grateful wonon ka ko imam mola ni nyalo wonon ko grateful ko ni imam ko kiyan ko de imam mola ni nyalo ko kiyan ka di marlo ko di beliano ka ko wolle man ka ko fay NP bila kandidato so e ko le nenka what was problem on that knowledge banko according to law wo mari le nyanda mulla yaja e manya na pitanjay dara ko e ba transfer kar ko transfer man wala ka ko be kulu kane ay mun be ba kulu la men yen na wuda ne bon da me yo nen ado nyama ka sit ka ko do be fana le ka to fay kiyam ko be fana le ka to fay ibe man ke man ko mansa man ke sipu kiyam ko be ka to fay yo nen nada no ka ko NPP la gagné na jël ibe kiyam ko la be jay la de lan xani amé jay ay nen kam ko almam kamola ni nyalo ay tole bu kamo ten waka ko kendo ke katen no yofo ko mo me yalo kam ko kuma ke jaw balo do ko hey kana ni kede e bentel nen men dia dan no mo le yole ke e ko hadi muni ane te bofo tanga bra police yanda men la ya ko kam binta jaay da ni men fo de afan su pono wadi de ni manka police ko dari ko banta ne ibe sembo jay la kan ka ko la police de se ku kada ya transfer ninde apart from any other thing namira human rights that it may map column but it may involve some human rights discussion nilam quality mele alon ka ko nyanda ngan pat do ko kado akamen ke akakolle manenti aka banko me alon ka ko tele be marlo ni la ka pay do mandi ye feke ya ko imade mi dictate ko abukala dictate abukala lu kile ni kulle ka ke wala ka la nyo wala ka la nyo ye ndam ka be ma mi dictate ko adu president ma baro mama la ka ko na dictate ko kele jan mo ko di jan be de da dictate kele bo jan de fana na dictate ko di mama la defon lifta wala mama lafta mo ya bo mi dictate ko babula sini namya bo do ka be sini toure dindi ni aya sabadan aya murunna aya fanta ko abe do ko asol la ni na fa la kai ko disi patron bata itla police bata mo la nya sutu ko be ya don ka ko isamira ka ko politiko baba kanya manya be manya e babula ka ko al mabaro mi bitande abalo mi so be fu kai wala ne be minni manya ade ye fantan kan wala na aya mar wala ade hani bi ba ya mar la wala aya fantan kan
we never did 6 weeks and following that 6 weeks. Doing this was solidly ask questions. But we'll take one last question from Lee. What's your name?
You emphasized a lot about national assembly. Why do you want it to be in the hands of Gambians rather than foreigners?
Well, simple answer. I want to be in the Gambia in the hands of the Gambia, but I want the Gambia to control the guns of this country.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Yes.
It's a passing report. Yeah, one more question. We'll take the last one.
Yes.
Okay, good afternoon once again. Honorable.
Yeah.
Good afternoon, Honorable, once again. Thank you so much for the patience. You talk so much on corruption. Also, evidence out there. I believe that the current government a lot of work to do. What will be your policy to ensure that corruption will be ending of the party in this country?
Well, we will not only engage in civic education to inculcate in the Gambians the virtues of honesty, the virtues of integrity, but will also guide Gambians to understand how much damage corruption does to the country. Corruption destroys the economy of a country just as cancer destroys tissues, human tissues. That's what it does. And we will not only do that, we will not introduce, if it's not a person of strategy to do, it will be part of the curriculum in schools. From primary school, people will get exposed to the virtues of integrity. And that is why the deletion of leadership and integrity, chapter 5 of from the 2020 draft, the Barrow draft, we released that's why I should not even took that. And then, of course, we will be very, very strict. There will be no sacred cows. There will be no sacred cows. If a founding member of the party holds an office, public office, and is found to be involved in corruption, we will deal with the person severely, because one is not only violating the laws of the country, but also our own core values. What made us stuck together from 1996 up to the time that person is taking office. Those core values, when it goes against it, certainly there will be no issue of masala. No issue of masala at all.
Thank you very much, Dr. Bilal. And also to thank ladies and gentlemen of the press, and all the I look forward to the next couple of